Everybody, welcome back to WGLNA Season 2 Qualifier number 2. We are waiting for Super Amigos to confirm with the admin that they're ready to go. We do have the first map, though, and that's going to be Ruinberg, as we saw earlier in that first match. Not taking that southern position. The Delta Village has not been really fought over in the last couple weeks of World of Tanks play that I've seen, at least in America. Why is that? Is this the reverse meta of what's happening on this map?
That's a very, very good point. And I think I can summarize that very, very quickly. If you're in the south going to Delta Village against a team in the north going to Delta Village, you are probably going to lose. They get there faster, and as long as they are basically focus firing, they're going to slaughter you trying to get in there. There are a couple different avenues you can take, but it's not ideal. You're better off going to the city.
So, but I'm going to have you set up some of the different avenues that you can take there on the telestrator in just a bit. We'll come to you in a second. But that F road has been a great kind of counterbalance or counterweight to a lot of different strategies because of dividing the map in half. And because of that Delta Village we've seen in the TIE Fighter area, as you so aptly named it when you were here a couple months ago.
It was you.
Oh, was it me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'll take credit for that. TIE Fighter. This is this is not the droid you're looking for.
I mean, I'll take it, but
but we do see a couple tanks that use that area from the mounds, really, at least in that section, to do some focus fire across the way and to stop some of the flanks coming in from the north and sometimes the F road. That Delta Village, though, sometimes Siposaurus Rex versus Hunter by Hunter. I forget which team was spawning to the south, but they could have completely pushed in, and they didn't. They were so hesitant about that. And it's because of the different buildings and the different side approaches you can have until you send one of the tanks in and go, oh, hey, guys, there's 3 1390s here, and you get unloaded upon. Why is the Delta Village such a crucial part of the map?
Well, I think it really boils down to vision and vectors or firing angles. With so much of that area being flat, once you control Delta Village, you control nearly half the map. And you definitely control one access to each cap. So from Delta Village, you can exist completely. Your travel from point A to point B is even faster than if you were in the town closer to the spokes. And really, it's just a better way to play, and it's kind of remnant from when Bisons used to be on the map.
I miss the Bisons. Soviet will come to you after the match because we're ready to go. It's Ruinberg, battle number 1 of Refuse to Die versus Super Amigos. And to the north side is the red team. And that team is Super Amigos. The blue team to the south will be Refuse to Die, leader A Bag of Kittens. One of the funniest scripts, really, if you hear us talking and somebody wrote out, hey, I was talking to a bag of kittens, or a bag of kittens rolling down the hill trying to target fire Anubis. Pretty funny, somebody wrote that in the blog. Looking at the tank selection, 2 AMX 5100s, 2 IS-3s, and a T-69 for the Spanish team. And what do we have for the blue team, David?
Well, we've got 2 5100s, 2 IS-3s, and a WZ-132. Aside from the WZ-132, it is not a bad lineup at all, but I think that Super Amigos has a better one with his 69.
Quite possible indeed. However, I do favor the WZ-132, maybe because it is safer. We're seeing a Delta Village. A little bit of an occupation here is DJ Danny in Game Pass and the T1 leading the way, as the rest of the heavies, or at least 2 of the heavies, have decided to go down the 5-6 line or on the outside of the city. A little bit of hesitation from DJ Danny here, as he's going to move a little bit more to the west, while the heavy tanks and the 2 IS-3s, LGD Dark and Stuka, are going to hold that line. And 8 minutes into the map, Soviet, your thoughts on the position of these 2 teams? We see the blue team really pushing north here.
So far, we're seeing a very classic movement out of both teams. Northern team favors the Delta Village. The southern team favors a very cap-fast approach, pushing through the city, taking up strategic key points and intersections. The one issue that they're going to come into, and you can see already that their push has kind of stagnated here, is once you come up to the A and B row, you lack vision. You don't know what's defending the base from the north. So it's going to be interesting to see how Refuse to Die pushes this, and or whether they have to rotate back to their base.
Would it be constructive to send into T1 maybe on a suicide run to get that vision?
That's very risky. You lose your T1 and that's it. You're stuck in the water. You just lost all your eyes that you can risk with, and you lost any back eyes. Like you can install a T1 and then move off, and now you have a lot of intel on that part of the map where you left your T1. But if you just let him die, you lost a lot of eyes, and I don't think that's a good idea.
Valkyrie Vuis gets the kill against the T1 and then WZ-132, locking down both of the eyes and ears for Super Amigos. Now we have a 5-man tank squad, armored division, moving down to the south here. IS-3 is taking the rear as the T-69 WTS Aletta is pushing in, but Red Base is under attack. LGD Dark hesitates. DJ Danny and LGD Dark are going to decide, hey, let's go back, while the rest of their team is going to push in against the blue flag.
That was a beautiful move by Refuse to Die there. They were poised, ready to cap fast. They've been waiting for it the whole time, and as soon as they saw a single heavy cross the F-line, which they did slightly before they moved on cap, they pushed everyone down, piled directly on top of it, and they knew, even if there are 4 tanks left back here, we will likely have a mismatch. We'll get our 132 in behind them, and we'll put them down. So they're going to definitely take this by superior maneuverability alone without even having to fight. That is fantastic movement and great play by a bag of kittens and Refuse to Die.
Wow, wow. Not much action really shown on the map, but enough for a victory for Refuse to Die. I'm impressed, really, how swift that was. I mean, I can only see the red team on my screen, and once they lost their T1s, they grouped up and decided, let's push against the base. But it was already too late because of that push. None of them could make it back in time. It was great play by Refuse to Die.
That's exactly how it's done. If you are actively moving south, when a team sets on your cap up top and you have nobody back there to reset and buy you time, you can't get back in time. Refuse to Die knows this. They're treating this professionally. They're taking the time. I mean, they're doing social media. They're doing everything they need to. So, quite frankly, that is a perfect demonstration of how you should play Ruinberg. They maybe could have gotten on there earlier, but the way it played out for them was absolutely perfect. So, very, very good game on their part. That is how it's done.
Yeah. Welcome back to WGLNA Season 2, Qualifier number 2. I am Clutch. My birth name's Joshua Gray, so my parents call me. But everybody online is like, Clutch, Clutch, Clutch. It's actually my call sign in the Air Force. Got to keep it, and I love it. So, let's take a look at Refuse to Die versus Super Amigos. And joining me on the set, let's take a look at this handsome man, David Williams, also known as Nagatron. Battle number 2 is almost underway on mines. Actually, we're just getting started here. Hill play, water side. I'm going to guess Refuse to Die is going to go water side on this map.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one.
Why? Because they spawn in a different place?
Well, for starters, their lineup, which we'll get to in just a second.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I definitely think they're going to go middle with this.
Well, let's find out. We're going to jump into battle number 2. It's going to be on mines. Here we go.
Changed since then. They have a minute and a half to seal this up. They certainly have the capability of doing it. They need to get a little bit more damage, especially if they can take out that A4 guy and then swoop in and seal this immediately. This is their game. If it slips, that is a big mistake on Refuse to Die's part.
Skringley takes down Aletta and the T-69, and now the red team is pushing in against a bag of kittens and his T-32. The 2 IS-3s have now exposed themselves on the map, but World War II Fanatic and a bag of kittens can hold the line against them as DJ Danny in the 5100 sees that the 1390 is moving against him. Valkyrie Vuis takes some shots from the other 5100 on the hill. He did not know that Launchin was up there, and that is a significant victory for the 5100s. But here comes the rest of the cavalry for the blue team as World War II Fanatic and a bag of kittens are still holding the line in their T-32s. 41 seconds left on the clock. DJ Danny at 23 hit points. He goes down as Skringley and Anubis in their 5100s are trying to sweep in to get the rest of the kills they need for the victory. Launchin in the 5100 to the south, however, can halt their advancement as Anubis tries to take the lead, take some shots from Launchin, but Launchin will not have all 6 in his drum. Bag of kittens in the T-32 is able to destroy Stuka in the IS-3. 17 seconds left on the clock, though. Who will
That's
take him
going to be
down?
hard. They needed to move those 5100s in faster to dump these IS-3s on the corner of the hill. With 8 seconds left, I don't think it's possible. They must be clipping or something. But at this point, it's going to be a draw, which is very unfortunate. Refuse to Die in a Bag of Kittens had it. 30 more seconds and that was game.
30 more seconds, that was game indeed. Those 5100s, as you said, if they would have swooped in, but DJ Danny had that position locked down. He kept sweeping his turret back and forth. He had a feeling, wait a second, if I move in against these T-32s, something's going to happen from behind me, and it did. It was at 1390. That was killed by Launchin, who was set up way over in those mountains next to the flag. And if he wasn't there, that 5100 wasn't there, it would have been a completely different story. Could have been a definite victory for Refuse to Die.
That right there, I think the easiest way that could have been solved was just to have one of those tanks, either the 5100 or the 1390. We noticed there was 3 of them piled up in one spot. You can get reliably 1, maybe 2 worth of firing angles from the island over there. Having a third guy all the way up in the east where they had cleared out their T1 just before would have been a final triangulation that would have allowed them to clean that up very, very quickly. In general, there was a breaking point where they just needed to push straight through whatever fire they took on their 5100s to make sure those IS-3s went down quick, and then everything else from there would melt like butter.
Yeah, most ideally. But I'm impressed with the T-32s, as I always am, because they were able to hold down the line. And Soviet, you had a bird's eye view. A lot was happening. What did you see?
Well, Refuse to Die does the right thing. They push the 1390 up on the hill, and they take quick control of it. That immediately signifies to Super Amigos that they can't go there. So they give up the hill, and instead they have to take a very defensive posture here. They put their 5100 and IS-3s in this kind of wedge formation with some support here in the A4, A5, very popular position for a very defensive position.
Yes.
Now, when you do that, you lock yourself in the map. You're stuck with pretty much 75% of the map. So we saw great control of the map by Refuse to Die. They basically ran back with their 1390, installed a T1 here. They got all this vision here, and then ran back again and installed another T1 here, and then got this vision. So basically, they kind of got all intelligence they needed to push into Super Amigos. Unfortunately, though, did it a little too late.
Yeah.
They could have initiated just a tad bit earlier, maybe been a little bit more aggressive with the 5100s, because the 5100s kind of held back a little bit too much, in my opinion. And also, one of the things about the water in the 1-2 line is once you're in the water, you go kind of slow. So if you don't time it, and you're counting that your middle push is going to hold out. By the way, T-32s Refuse to Die, putting on a great show against the IS-3s and the 5100 of Super Amigos, holding out till the end. Weren't able to finish off the last IS-3, but should the 5100 have been a little bit quicker, it would have been game over, but a draw instead.
Yeah.
So real quick, adding on to what you were saying about the 5100s, if you go ahead and look at their stats very quickly here, Skringly, one of their 5100s, hit 2 out of 4 shots. And then Anubis hit 5 out of 10. So there you go. If they had shot greater than 50% out of those 2 tanks, that's easily the remaining amount of HP left. I'm not sure whether they just didn't have the shot picture and what exactly was going on from their point of view, but simply put, they needed to count. And it looked like at the end, they were both clipping. That may have been the game right there.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break. We come back to be battle number 3 of Refuse to Die versus Super Amigos. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to WGLNA Season 2 Qualifier number 2. It is match number 2, Refuse to Die versus Super Amigos, as we move on into battle number 3. And the map is going to be Ents, the first time we've seen this map tonight. The railroads cut down through the center, and they prove to be kind of fun when you have some of the pushes that go straight down the railroad line. However, a lot of camping plays what we saw last or 2 weeks ago, really, for qualifier number 1. Hopefully not a repeat tonight, because we like to see aggression here. But David, what are your thoughts on this map? And I'll throw it over to Soviet here to give us kind of a highlights of some of the different approaches.
This is one of my favorite maps, and it's been that way for a long time. We definitely loved it back when the Bison existed.
I miss the Bison.
I miss it so much. Please, Wargaming. I'll do anything. So there's definitely some key elements. I'm not going to break down all of them because they're very powerful, and if you understand them, it goes a long way on this map. But like you were saying, it can be camped very, very well from the north in particular, so a lot of teams do that. There is one formation that we kind of stole from a team called Virtus Pro, which is like some tanks in the windows. I think you guys have seen it before. We're likely to see it again today, and that is very hard to break, but it's intended to be a little bit more aggressive than it's often played. So while it can be campy, it's powerful in other ways. Really what this boils down to is you either go east or you go west. Very rarely can you do one or the other, and even more rarely do you go down the rail lines. It's really exciting when you do, and especially for you. If you do it, you are maximum clenched the whole way, because if anything shows up, you are so dead.
Yeah.
So dead, especially if they show up on the top and the bottom, and then you're just like, well, I'm done.
Yep. But you get that bottleneck effect, though. That's why it's a risk to take, because if they're waiting for you, if they can pretty much know your approach coming down the railroad line, they simply have to kill one of your tanks, and you're going to be dead in your tracks. At least half of the escape plan will be. And the only way you can go is pretty much backwards, which Rukia will say is not a viable direction. You can only move forwards. But Soviet, what is your take on Ensk?
Well, Ensk is primarily played in the west, and the west is where the city is. We have North Block. Majority of the action happens right around this area of the map. However, there are awesome counters to this, and one of the counters is, as David mentioned, is down the railroad for a cap fast into the enemy base, and that can go both ways. If you're able to tie down and put a lot of pressure, for example, by putting a T1 in a proxy spot in the city, you can really kind of tie down the team and then do a cap fast. So we'll see how this goes. I'm expecting a west push.
A west push is what he'll be expecting. We're going to find out because the game is almost ready. Let's go ahead and jump into Ensk. Here they come to save the day. It is the Super Amigos to the north, and to the south, we have Refuse to Die.
Refuse to Die over here with two 5100s, a 110, which we'll get to in here in just a second, and two IS-3s. Now, there's one very particular reason why you would bring a 110, in my opinion. Some people say that it has a little bit to do with the armor configuration. Perhaps it's a better brawler. Realistically, in this format, when you're all firing premium shells and they're all such high caliber as IS-3s and 5100s are, or high penetration, that's really not worth bringing it just for that. If you're counting on armor, you're planning incorrectly. But it does have 20 more meters of view range. 20, I believe. I'm pretty sure it does. I know it has more. I think the number is 20. Than an IS-3 does. So if you are using it, it's essentially like bringing an IS-3 with a little bit of an added advantage there. And that's really it.
First blood goes to Quasiar on the T1 fight. Oh, Hired Gun is able to take down Game Pass. T1s are dead. 4 Super Amigos. We're seeing a pattern here. Lock down the T1s, control the map, control the map, control the game. That's what we're going to see from the blue team here as they are pushing in a little bit to the south as the red team is trying to line themselves up here. T69, WTS Letta smashing that wall with the rest of the IS-3s and the 5100s.
That's very interesting and aggressive play by Super Amigos. I don't think it was worth 2 T1s, but it was certainly worth at least 1. They divided the map in half by sending that T1 right down the 6th line, immediately trying to find where Refuse to Die was going. I'm pretty sure they cleared out the other half of the city with their main tanks, and they did it as fast as possible, trying to make contact. As soon as they realized they weren't there, they just started moving into cap, trying to add cap pressure and bring Refuse to Die back to them. We'll see how it works out.
Now Valkyrie Vios in the 110 taking some damage. World War II Fanatic at less than half health. DJ Danny the same in the 5100. There's going to be a back and forth clash between the two. Red base under attack as one of the blue team is able to get in close. 1 minute, 30 seconds left for them. And the entire red team again. Super Amigos does not have any T1s to spot that type of flag capture, and DJ Danny with the lowest health for the rest of his tanks here in the 5100 is going to be the one that's going to move in to try to stop the capture. However, one shot, one well-placed and high RNG shot could completely decimate what's left of this tank as he moves in to try to stop it. Oh, and he gets off the cap. As DJ Danny tries to find the T1, Quasier's going, nope, 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 nope. As he goes around to the other side of the railroad tracks, DJ Danny trying to land that shot. Oh, nice shot from Bag of Kittens across the railroad tracks, but it doesn't seem to have done really any damage to DJ Danny. And now he's going to try to move in to get the kill on Quasier, and he will. But DJ Danny is out of position. Is he going to try to set up a flank? We'll see. But Stuka taking some hits in the IS-3 is able to back out just in time. But he is at some serious low health.
Big moves going on here. Bag of Kittens went straight down the rail line, sandwiching DJ Danny in between him and the rest of his team. He only has to put one high roll shot in him to clean this up, which is going to give them an advantage, obviously, over the other team. Fantastic play here by Refuse to Die by utilizing that T1 to draw separation. They didn't see it early enough to push on the rest of the team, but it doesn't matter. They're getting what they wanted out of it, and now they are up not only one T1, but a tier 8. So again, they're going to add cap pressure and do it all over again. They don't even have to move now. The entire initiative is on Super Amigos to figure out how to do this without getting slaughtered. And quite frankly, I've been in this situation a lot myself, and if I had an answer to that, well, then it would be pretty hard to lose.
Led on the T-69. He is hurt bad along with some of the rest of his teammates here. Stuka at only 27 hit points. Screenly getting another shot against Launchin. Launchin trying to hold the line just across the corner here. Valkyrie View has taken a hit himself in the 110. Screenly in the IS-3 does not have an autoloader, so he will have an advantage if Launchin is trying to reload. 20 seconds left on the capture clock here. And the only tank going in is a T-69, the quickest of all those heavies. Because it is a medium tank. 13 seconds left on the clock. Can he line up the shot? Rounding the corner, 10 seconds left. Trying to get closer and closer. Too many buildings in the way. He's going to try to cut across into this wall. Oh, he hits the rubble. It slows him down. There's the T1. Tries to line up the shot, and he gets it just in time. 35 seconds now, a minute and 7 seconds. Aletta sees the IS-3. Oh no, he cries. It's a Bag of Kittens, and World War II Fanatic get the crossfire and the kill. Only 3 tanks left alive. 4 Super Amigos.
Not much you can say about that. Obviously, it was great. It worked. A Bag of Kittens still at full health. Now they're even double capping on them. And it's a 3-on-2 or 3-on-3 in the south. Should they decide, they being Super Amigos, to try and do a counter cap, which is their best option, but while they're trying it, they're going to get reset. All a Bag of Kittens and WW2 Fnatic need to do now is make sure they don't get lit and shot. But if they do, they're still looking all the way down the rails. They're probably contributing to the fight. Really, there's not much they can do to lose this unless they deliberately try.
No, Stuka, 27 hit points, still left alive, so kudos to him for trying to keep some pressure on. 4 seconds left. LGD Dark trying to keep some flag capture himself, but he only has 63 hit points, and the red base has been captured, which means a victory for Refuse to Die. Very well done. And unfortunately for Super Amigos, they are 1 battle away from being eliminated. I have to question the decision to send the lowest HP tank at the time, a 5100, to go and deal with the flag capture. He was able to get Quasiar away from the flag, stopped it, but continued to push in. And I can understand the mentality of, yes, I want to get a flank against the enemy team. I want to get some shots in, but he got lit up right when he poked around the corner. Past that house, and really didn't do much after that.
So here's the situation that was going on with him. He came across, he knew he was still lit. He killed one of the T1s, but he was still actively being lit by the other one. So if he tried to cross back across the tracks, he's obviously going to get pegged again, but this time it's going to finish him. So he had no real option but to go forward. At that point, what he needed was the rest of his team to push across the tracks and try and help him. But they weren't going to win that either. So really, as soon as they had to send a single tank back to deal with that cap, they were already losing. Yeah. And it would have required a serious mistake on Refuse to Die's part for them to come back. And really, where was that whole thing initiated? When they lost 2 T1s almost immediately. 2 T1s, any T1s, are incredibly important on Ensk. I don't know if you guys...
Ruinberg and Ensk and Mines
and pretty much every other map. Yeah. But the very similar thing happened to us when we played against Simple Tankers in the finals. We made the mistake of losing one of our T1s recklessly, who was supposed to be a reset, and even though we won the fights with the tier 8s, they double capped us out very, very quickly. So you cannot waste T1s on any map, but most of all, Ensk is one of them.
We're going to take a quick break. We come back, we're going to get Soviet's thoughts on that last battle as we prepare for possibly the last match, or the last battle for this match, Refuse to Die for Super Amigos. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to WGLNA Season 2 Qualifier number 2 as Nagatron is sprucing up his desk, man. He's got a lot of notes, a lot of different teams that are here. In how much notes do you take when you watch the stream, when you watch these different teams? Do you look at strategies, tank selections, anything like that, or do you go, ha ha, these noobs? We know how to do. We don't know how to counter what they're doing.
Even if something wasn't a strategy that I would want to copy, obviously it's important to know what these people are doing and, more importantly, what they're thinking, so I can get in there and at least try to understand them in the event that we have to play them in the future. Do I take notes? Not really. It's very rare do I have the time to sit there and focus specifically on one thing. I often have to watch the matches multiple times because some Skype message pops up or something. But we do talk about it quite a bit. I'm not the only one who does strategy over at Fulcrum. We have we used to split it amongst 3 people for the most part.
Yeah. And Soviet, we were going to come to you, man, but it looks like the battle is almost underway in Himmelsdorf, so I apologize about that. But we can talk about that strategy towards the end of the series, see if Refuse to Die is able to win. I'm sure you drew a lot of pretty pictures for your map. But the next map is going to be Himmelsdorf. First time we're seeing the map tonight. Let's go ahead and jump into it. It's battle number 4 of Refuse to Die versus Super Amigos. Here we are in Himmelsdorf. To the north, we have Super Amigos. To the south, it is Refuse to Die. Refuse to Die is up 2-0. Battle number 4, because we did have a draw on mines. And we're seeing a bit of a western push here from the red team, while their T1s are going to the east, one towards Tank Alley, another to the hill. Scout for them. And DJ Danny taking the lead in the 5100. This is not a patient player. And he does see Quasiar. Does Quasiar see him? He does. He's able to scout him out.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, Clutch. I see a Panther 2 and a Kernavern and a 112 pushing across the middle. The movement itself makes sense. The tanks, I am utterly confused. The Panther 2 in particular, I'm very curious to see if they have stumbled across some sort of secret to World of Tanks that I do not know. They're obviously been playing very... Oh, that's a 112. That's not a 110. That is one of the new... That's the new Chinese premium.
Wow. Well, what better way to unwrap a gift like that to show up against DJ Danny, 5100, cowering in fear against the 112, 1500 hit points. Valkyrie says good night and goodbye as he gets the kill. Game Pass is able to win in the T1 battle. The blue team is on the march for some red blood, and that blue team has refused to die. They've been living up to their name. T1 Game Pass, 7 HP left for him. Nope, Quasiar is able to get the kill. T1s are killed, 1 T1 for each team, but the 5100 is down 9 tier points for the red team, for Super Amigos, tying up to 8 tier points. But again, the 8 tier point advantage is not in place for the qualifiers here. But there can only be 5 battles. If there is no clear victor, if we have multiple draws, that means we'll go to a shootout after the 5th map. But if Refuse to Die is able to draw this out or win, it'll look pretty solid for them for a match victory. World War II Fanatic taking some shots himself, as Visor is able to scout out in the T1 here, or at least trying to the very south. But Anubis in his 5100 taking a couple more shots here from Dark in the IS-3, scout around the corner, as Valkyrie Viewis and the rest of his teammates are going to try to put some pressure on that flag cap, or at least put some pressure against the tanks trying to guard that flag cap, David.
So what I see here is World War II Fanatic is in the D line fighting with Atleta. I have no idea how to pronounce that. He and Anubis are going to be able to force them out, buying them control of that line, keeping that 69 out of the fight. The rest of their team is in a deadlock 3v3 on the cap, and looks like Super Amigos has cap pressure, which is super important for them right now. But Refuse to Die is sending back World War II Fanatic to deal with that. In a 5100, he's going to get there very quickly, and he's going to make short work of them. They do have the tier 8, 1 tier 8 advantage over him, so this isn't too much of a waste sending him back. Looks like Anubis cleaning up Letta in the 69, and Skringley cleaning up the IS-3 Stuka. We've got a reset coming in, and this is going very, very poorly for Super Amigos.
Yep, 17 seconds left on the clock for Refuse to Die to get the victory here. LGD Dark taking some hits on his side in the IS-3, trying to stop him. 9 seconds left. 4 seconds now as they have 3 tanks on the move. The Carnivore moving in with the Panther. And the red base has been captured, meaning Refuse to Die is able to close out the series 3-0 with 1 draw. Nice movements by them with some unusual tanks on the battlefield.
Unusual tanks, but these 2 tanks, the Carnivore and the Panther II, put out the most damage on their entire team. The Panther II with nearly 2,000 and the Carnivore with about 1,800. Really, what I'm thinking is they're going for DPM and mobility. They're trying to get up that line. It was a lineup built for a rush. It kind of actually screamed rush because you're obviously not going to do much else with those kinds of tanks. And they took it right up the middle and isolated perfectly. Super Amigos had, not like they had any way of knowing, but that was pretty much the absolute worst positioning they could have given what Refuse to Die was doing. The only caveat I have here is at one point they were being repelled by 2 5100s at the end of the 3 line. Now, they have 5100s on their own team, so they should have known at that point they weren't loaded. And the best thing they could have done was drove both of those IS-3s and everything else they had directly into the D line to try and combat that directly, because there just isn't a better option. Waiting around is not going to do any good, and if you lose a 5100 for nothing, you're going to regret it.
Yeah, it was more of a chase kind of environment. They kept chasing him around instead of holding a position and falling back when they needed to. They tried to put cap pressure with Letta, even in the T-69, moving further down to the south of the map, trying to trade some shots down that alleyway, but their team was too divided. And because of that, yeah, I mean, they tried to put the pressure on the flag cap, but it just wasn't happening. I also want to mention that the Carnivore and Scringly and a bag of kittens and the Panther II, 10 for 10 for both these tanks. Every shot counted, every shot mattered, and in any type of tank, you need that to happen. That is what's going to spell victory for your team rather than defeat when you're up against anyone. Now, Soviet, I'm going to throw it over to you, man, because unfortunately we didn't have enough time to throw to you that last battle. But your thoughts on this battle?
You know, when this battle started, I was thinking, if Ruka was sitting here, the hat would come off. The hat would come off. So, this is pretty much the map. There's some other tanks on the red side, and then there's Panther II with exclamation point and question mark. 112 with 3 exclamation points, and then Carnar ... They push down the 5 line and then just pretty much chase around red tanks and kill them all. Good game. Refuse to Die takes it. Hats off to a bag of kitten, or bags of kitten, or kittens.
Kittens in general. Internet loves kittens.
Great job.
Sounds like the start to a math problem.
He promised that he would bring a Panther and a Carnarvon. 112? No, he never said that. And great job on delivering. And great job on executing. It's really hard to bring in tanks that you're not used to in this format and then just killing the enemy team. They basically dismantled it and did so very well.
And also, they felt confident enough that they could bring those tanks to have it in a 7x42 scenario where something was on the line. It's almost kind of like having your second or third string players on the bench that usually don't have an opportunity to play. You feel so ahead, you feel so confident. Hey, throw them in. We know we're going to win this game. Let's try to execute this strategy in a real environment, depending on who the opponent is, of course. Now, it could have completely backfired, but it didn't, and it was well executed, like you said, Soviet. Want to say my thanks and appreciation to Super Amigos for, again, trying to make it through the qualifiers. Unfortunately, you're not able to join us in Season 2. Make sure to sign up for Season 3, and you can watch us at WGLNA.com, or make sure to follow us on Twitter at WGLNA, or Facebook, Facebook.com/WGLNA if you're a fan of Super Amigos, or if you're a fan of me speaking Spanish, so I can improve my Spanish. But again, thanks, guys, for playing, and we wish you the best of luck as you continue to expand as a team in your confidence and in your experience. We're going to take a quick break. We come back. We have the next match, which is going to be getting underway in here just a little bit. Forgotten Legionnaires versus the Landing Zones Slayers. Never heard of them, but that's kind of an intriguing name. Look forward to what they have to offer.
I think they stole Soviet's missing S's.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back after this. Stay tuned.